Welcome back to the MyRestyling channel. I'm Christina, and today I'm going to show you how to decorate this tray to turn it into a Christmas tray. I had this tray that I picked up at a flea market. As you can see, it's already painted because I had done some color tests on it, so it's a bit like this, and I decided to apply this Christmas decoupage to it. These decoupage designs are really very nice. You can find them on our website, MyRestyling.com. Thank you. Or also in our store. We just recently opened. The store is in San Giorgio Bigarello in the province of Mantua at Piazza Giotto 4. So even if you come to the store, you'll find them there. This is an A4 size. Before applying it, I need to cut the edges, or rather than cut, I want to make them jagged. And that's so you won't see it. The step between the color and the decoupage, so I apply a little water with a brush, and then afterwards I actually tear them with my fingers to make them a bit jagged. I assure you that this technique will prevent it from looking like decoupage, but instead it will look truly painted because you won't see the edges. So please never cut them with scissors, but make them jagged like this. You wet them a little, and then afterwards you tear them apart with your fingers. Rice paper is very strong, so sometimes it's actually hard to tear. So wet it well, and then little by little use your fingers to pull off the edge. These decoupage papers are from the brand Paper Design, and they are really beautiful. There are various types for Christmas, so hurry up. If you want to place an order on the website, we ship them very quickly. You'll receive them by Christmas if you order, obviously within a week. Otherwise, stop by the store or just come pick them up yourself. These A4 sheets are also very inexpensive. There you go. You see I'm removing the entire border. And slowly, you need a bit of patience not to tear the rice paper because it's strong. But still, it's also a bit of a delicate paper, so be careful, go slowly and remove the entire border. There, after I've finished removing the whole border, I place it on my tray. I measure carefully, making sure it's well centered, and everything, making sure it doesn't go over the edge. Also because I didn't want it to go onto the rim, since I wanted to decorate the rim myself red. Then I take the decoupage glue. This glue is made by us. It's a rice starch glue, so for rice paper, I'd say it's perfect. But there's also a tutorial here on YouTube that teaches you how to make it at home. So if you like, I'll put the link up here on the top right. That way, if you click on it, you can watch the tutorial. It's very easy. For my friends on Facebook, that's fine too. I can't put it here for you, but if you want it, just let me know and I'll send you the YouTube video link. Anyway, I'm applying all my glue. I also grabbed an old brush because to get into the edges well, a nice chunky brush works everywhere. I'm spreading all my glue on well. It's really the perfect glue for rice paper decoupage. If you want, you can also apply it with crisscross brush strokes like I'm doing now, so you can be sure the glue gets absolutely everywhere. And then I place my decoupage on top. There, you see. Now I turn it around because I need to make sure it's right in the center. In fact, I take it off again because it wasn't exactly centered. You see, you can also remove it. It doesn't stick immediately, so don't worry. Even if you put it on and it's not positioned correctly, you can still take it off. I also removed some of the little spikes because I didn't really like having them on the edges. Anyway, it's really easy to position. Decoupage with rice paper and rice glue is really quick to do. Here's my decoupage glued on. See how cute it is, how well it turned out. Then I take my glue again and spread it on top because you know that this glue, or maybe you don't, it depends if you've watched the tutorial on YouTube, is not just a glue, but also a protective finish that serves to protect decoupage on rice paper, but also on our paints. So it's really a protective finish as well. Don't use it on other paints, or at least if you want to experiment, that's up to you. I don't know how it reacts with other paints. With our kit paints, though, the restyling is perfect. So if you buy our paint, you can also safely protect it with this glue bar protective finish. There you go. So now I want to show you that on this tray I had done some tests with different waxes. You can see there's gold wax and silver gray wax. I did some tests. I spread them here to see how they would look on the color. And so obviously I can't paint over it because the paint wouldn't stick. That's why I decided to seal the waxes with a varnish made from sandarac resin. You can also make this one at home. I'll explain how to do it later. It's an alcohol-based varnish, so it won't cause any problems if you apply it over the waxes. And in this case, I apply it specifically to seal the waxes so that afterwards I can paint over them. See, it doesn't matter. It's an alcohol-based varnish. You just need to spread a little bit. You don't have to use a ton. Just a little is enough. And we store it in these laboratory jars. As you can see, they have a lid, and inside there's an inner cap so that the alcohol is well preserved and doesn't evaporate. Right now, I don't have them on the website, but you can find these jars elsewhere. Let me show you the kit that you can buy on the website to make your own sandarac varnish or copal varnish, because they're the same. Both act as sealers, and you can make them at home. Now here, look, this is the isopropyl alcohol, and then there's the little bag with the varnish. In this case, I have copal because I don't have any sandarac left to show you right now, but it's the same thing. It's always a little bag containing either copal or sandarac, which needs to be dissolved in isopropyl alcohol. So if you buy the kit, you'll find this alcohol in this little bag, or you can also get them if you come to the store. So after that, because I don't like things to be too easy, obviously I decided that I want to add some decorative elements to the tray. So I took this mold, which is a silicone mold from Stamperia. There are various types, and these molds are really beautiful. I recommend getting them online or in a store. They're truly lovely. I want to apply this decorative piece, and I want to place it right here on top. And also on the lower part of the tray, which is basically my favorite decorative element. It's a bit tricky to make, but it's my favorite. And today I want to use soft clay, which is a modeling paste from Stamperia. You see, I already have it open. I'm not sure if you can see it well. Here's the name, because I usually use wood paste, but I've already shown you that many times. So I want to show you the soft clay, this paste that you can easily use with your hands, even without gloves. Because with wood paste, it's better to use gloves since it's solvent-based, but this one you can easily use with your hands. It's moldable, shapes very well, and although it's a bit more crumbly than wood paste, it still molds quite nicely. And now I'll show you how to make the ornament with this paste. So for this particular ornament, as you can see, I've already made one. I suggest making it in pieces. Not all ornaments are like this. Some come out well even as a whole. This one is a bit more difficult, obviously, because I like to make things complicated for myself, but that's what I enjoy. So I recommend making it in small pieces because otherwise it will break if you do it all at once, since it's a very, very intricate ornament. So as you can see, press the paste well inside. Do one small piece first, then the next piece. Now I'll show you because I press it down well, and then you pull it out with your fingers. Because each material has its own method for doing this. It's also a bit time consuming. This is the ornament, so I've made the first little piece. Then I carefully remove it, you see, very, very slowly, otherwise you truly risk damaging or breaking it completely. You see, you really have to go slowly with the soft clay. So this first little piece broke on me, but that's fine. I'll just glue it back together later. Maybe it needs to be done with even smaller pieces. Anyway, it turned out well after all that. I glued them together, so for me, it's not a problem. Now I'll make the other pieces too. Okay, my two pieces are done, so now I'll glue them together. I'm going to get the white glue. Here I am, got it, the glue. Let me close up the soft clay too, because if it stays open, it'll harden. Let's see if I can close it. If not, I'll put it in a little bag. Let's leave it here. Okay, let's glue them piece by piece. It won't matter because they'll be glued together and you won't see it. I have to say, since they were just made, because this clay hardens later, but since they're freshly made, they're very, very malleable. So even if you have curves or little edges like mine, a bit rounded, it sticks well, meaning it follows the curves nicely. So if you have this type of base, this clay is recommended. Then let me know if you've already used it and how it worked out for you, if your decorations turned out well. Maybe write it in the comments. Now the little decorations I put on weren't enough, so I took this little wooden box, which is where I keep all the extra decorations I make. Sometimes I use resin. You see, sometimes I have leftover resin, so I make some extra decorations, and that's why it's my box of decorations. And look, I wanted to add, see, I'll show you now, 2 little roses, one here and one here. I have some really tiny roses because sometimes I have just a little bit of resin left over. So I make little roses and I have to find the ones that are the right size, like this one. Here, these tiny ones, these are perfect. I'll put them on now. See, I'll show you. Look, I'll put one on one side and one on the other. I think they're just right. The only problem is that they're made of resin, so they don't stick very well to the surface because they're not flexible. But now let's see how to do it. So it's a good idea. If you have extra materials, make some extra decorations, then keep them for your future projects. Now I'm going to glue them on, and I already know it'll be a bit tricky for them to stick right away because they're made of resin. Here, let's first see if it fits. I'm gluing the second one. You see the surface where I'm putting it is curved. I'll probably put some weights on them overnight or use some tape or weights. I'll think about it now. There, I let it sit all night and my decorations are well attached. They're dry. You can see the ones underneath too, both the little roses and the ones made with soft clay. So now I can start painting. I'm taking the bloody red, which is the red from the MyRestyling line from the pink kits. You know you have to prepare it. Of course, I already have mine ready. I had prepared it beforehand about a month ago. And I'm starting to do my borders. To do the borders, I use the Stamperia brush, size 14, which is really useful for making these small borders. So it would be useful to always have it at home, get it, and I start doing all my red borders. Obviously, you need to be a bit precise. Don't go outside the lines. At least I just wanted to do the borders. But it's up to you, you know, it's just an idea. If you want to make it shabby, you can even do it messily. It's up to you how you want to do it. I try to be precise. You see, the bloody covers really well. You'll still need to apply 2 coats, definitely 2 coats, but at least it has excellent coverage. Remember, you need to prepare it. It's not a ready-to-use paint, not a kit paint. If you go to the website, you'll see it. There are all the instructions, or you can come to the store and we'll explain it to you, of course. So, here's how the tray turned out. I put it on the radiator for about half an hour. Do you like it? It turned out cute, didn't it? Now I'll do the back as well because I wanted to show you how well it covers the red. I took a 30mm brush and as you can see, it really covers well. You'll still need 2 coats, but it covers nicely. If you put it on the radiator during the season, in 10 minutes it's already dry. If you want, since it's a paint with a bit of acrylic resin, not a lot, but there is some, you can use a crisscross brush stroke like I'm doing. Now, it definitely covers better that way. With all acrylic paints, it is better to use a cross brush stroke. It certainly covers better. Here my tray is colored on both sides. And since I wanted to then do an antique finish with wax, I decided to first protect it with my glue for decoupage, protective bar. Because as I told you before, it also serves as a protective layer for the paint I use, the Stamperia brush, this time size 18. Because I wanted it a little bigger. This way I can get into the corners well where there's decoupage and I can protect it a bit better. Just be a little careful because the red can stain a bit. So if you go over the edge, go over it again because the red can stain a little. There you go, it does. So with the protective layer, be a bit careful. Right now you see it looking a bit white, but it will turn transparent later. I protect everything a bit. I protect all my little corners. And also the little piece of decoupage that's near the corner. There, the front is protected, and I'll protect the back as well. I'm still using my old stubby brush because that way I can get into the edges nicely. I'll just apply one coat because I want to protect it just enough to do the wax antiquing. But of course, if you're going to use it really heavily, you can also apply 2 coats 24 hours apart. I'm only going to do 1 coat, and if you want, you can also use a crisscross brush stroke like I'm doing now. Because even this protective layer contains a bit of acrylic resin, so you know that with acrylics, a crisscross brush stroke is always the best. You'll see that even the white marks disappear. At first you can see them when you apply it, but then they vanish. So I waited 24 hours for my protective coat to dry. Now, as you can see, I'm starting with the antiquing process. Everything is nicely protected. I'm using my natural vegan wax, brown color, and you can even make this wax at home. Also on YouTube, right here on YouTube, there's a tutorial. I'll put the link up here on the top right. Facebook friends, go look for it on YouTube. I use a rag and an old brush, a really old one. I use it for the wax. If you have an old scruffy brush, press it well into all the edges and corners. You see, don't use a brush that's too big for doing this antiquing on the edges. Otherwise, the wax will overflow everywhere and it won't look good at all. So since I didn't want to get it on the design, but just on the edges, I used a small brush. I press it in really well, even into the frieze I made with the soft clay. I press it in thoroughly. The important thing is to press it in well. Now I'll lift it up so maybe you can see better. The key is to really press it into the corners and edges because it's like dust that settles into the crevices. So you really need to press it in well. Good. There are little corners that are actually a bit hard to reach with a brush, especially in these handmade friezes. Then with a cloth, I wipe away the excess. Also, patinating is actually very relaxing. Who among you does styling? You know what I mean. Now I'll turn it around because I need to make sure it's done well, and I keep going like this. Then I do this over my entire tray, so I cover the whole thing. Here's my tray. You can see how it looks once it's antiqued. You can really tell it's handmade. Even the friezes are done by hand. You can see it even with this antiquing, but it's nice that you can tell it's handmade. Then I decided I wanted to give it a touch of brightness with Stamperia's antique brass wax. These waxes are wonderful because they add so much color. This is a gold, a bit dark. Now I'll show you. Applied with your finger, it's beautiful. I'm applying it to the little rose and I'll show you the difference. Now I'll lift it up for you. See the little rose with the wax compared to the one without. It really adds a touch of light, which is just a detail, but as they say, it's the details that make the difference. Now I'll apply it to the other little rose as well, and then to all my embellishments. Using your finger, you can easily apply it just to the surface because with a brush you might accidentally go underneath. That wouldn't look good. Do you see the effect it creates? Let's take a good look at all the embellishments. Here, now, I'll lift it up so I can show it to you. See how the embellishments stand out? It really looks good with this wax, doesn't it? There, I'm not sure if you can see it well. If you want to give it more protection after a few days, because the wax needs to dry, you can also apply a varnish based on sandarac resin. But you need to wait a few days because the wax is still fresh. Give it at least a week. Goodbye, and I'll leave you with some photos of the tray. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!